back at you all. But I have tried to prioritise some, I think there were 3 or 4 key points that Council has got on our website around share allocation or the public ownership. We've got a point there around the use of rating base as a population rather than census population numbers. And there was a couple of other points which I can't recall off the top of my head.
Well, I realise that, but what I'm saying is people who get submissions are going to take them. They just gloss over. We've got to have something that hits them a bit. And that's why I mentioned my one this morning. We almost need to include the minister's response about our point on the basis of which they're making payment, which we say is wrong. And it just seems to me when she says in her letter there was discussions between local government and government, I gather that was Local Government New Zealand, and I cannot recall any specific consultation with us about that issue. Am I correct on that?
Now I haven't been fully involved in that process. This submission being on the bill, the only point it talks about census data or census population numbers is to do with share allocation. It doesn't have anything to do with the Better Off funding, so it's a separate issue. But we do have some points here. I think it's under 3.17. That's on the new version, where we've asked that clause 16 be amended to reflect rating base rather than resident population. But that is only to do with share allocation, and share allocation only gives the owner the right to vote in a decision to privatise.
Sure. But it seems to me that my question is, I can't recall there being debate between councils saying this is what's proposed. It must have slipped under the radar. I could stand corrected, but I just think that's not being discussed with us.
I think Council has certainly maintained the same stance the right way through. The earliest consultation that I'm aware of where councils were asked to provide feedback, it's in the report that goes with the submission. And it was around the time when we got that first tranche of funding, which we allocated to the water meter installation. And in that set of feedback, we provided, I think, about 20 odd plus points. And one of them was around this issue around the allocation and the use of, which number set to use. But yeah, I'm not too sure. And as that letter does explain, it was in working with Local Government New Zealand. I haven't been involved in that process around how the funding was developed. I don't know if anybody else.
Well, that's my point. I don't think.
Gary, can I let Tony have a go now, please? Tony.
Mine was really only a comment with that first tranche. It was my understanding when that happened that the money was to be used for water assets. So if the district had somewhere that they wanted to put pipes in or modify treatment or whatever, and as a district, we decided that we want all homes in the district metered, and because Mercury Bay wasn't metered at that time, and so given that the water, in inverted commas, crisis happened here, that was very topical, and so the money was allocated to put meters into Whitianga. Unlike the money that's available now, it doesn't have to be spent on water assets at all. It can be spent on anything you like, without any requirement for us to agree to or disagree with something coming out. So that's my understanding of how that all happened, and so that makes it very different in terms of our decision to allocate part of that money for Kopu. So that's if I'm right. If I'm right, the first tranche we had to spend it on water. The second lot, not so.
Yeah, but it is quite a separate discussion, I feel, to this report and this submission to this particular bill.
Agreed.
Yeah, I've read the revised version. I think that's fine. I just want to make comment. I've read the C4LD Community for Local Democracy submission and the Local Government New Zealand submissions. They both point clearly to the fact they want to take stormwater out of the picture because it hits too many nerves in terms of roading and private property and a whole lot of other assets. It hasn't been mentioned in this one. Do you think it should be or not?
Maybe that's worth some open discussion, and we might like to invite Bruce to add in some comment potentially.
Bruce, would you like to?
Yes, good morning, councillors. Yeah, no, we haven't looked at pulling stormwater out in our submission or our recommendations. I know that, as Terry correctly said, other areas are looking at that. There's pros and cons to that, to both sides of that. So yeah, so we don't have a kind of firm position, I suppose, from a staff perspective either way. So that does make it a little bit tricky. I understand that. So yeah, so I can't really add too much more to that discussion. Sorry.
Can I just add a little bit to what Gary said? I think, Gary, you're going down the path that there hasn't been, I think what you were saying in a nutshell, there hasn't been adequate consultation with councils and discussion with councils, basically, aren't you?
Yeah, and I've just actually forwarded separately that email I sent
Yeah,
to Sandra
and
this
of course
morning.
that email came too late for a lot of us to bring up on our machines now. But I think we all agree with that. I don't think you'll get any dissension from any councillor that that is not the case. And I think we all agree that LGNZ has not necessarily served us well on this. But that being aside, let's get back to the submission. Has anyone got any more comments on the submission?
Yeah, but I just think if that can be in the way it's put forward, whether we include the letter from the minister and we repeat, we were not consulted about this, and that's, you've got, as I said before, we've got to look for our big points, and I just think that that's one of the big ones.
Well, what's the feeling that we attach the letter and just put another clause in about we feel we've been adequately consulted? Is that an advantage or not? Martin.
Sorry, sorry, that we've been inadequately consulted about which?
The whole bill.
Well, we've not just
right. Oh, sorry. My point wasn't about that. It was more about just your comment before, Murray, saying that all the councillors feel that we haven't been served well by LGNZ. I mean, I don't feel that. I think that they put forward 40-something submissions, 40-something points, of which virtually all but one, which I think still being worked on, were taken up by government. By comparison, the Communities for Local Democracy, I've looked at their submission, which is still in draft form, and yeah, I'm just concerned that we're signing up, or we've signed up for the submission, and at the moment it looks like we're supporting stormwater not being in there. So that's what I said. That's what I said when we voted on the Community for Local Democracy. I said we don't know what we're signing up for, and now we've got this submission of theirs with a whole lot of points in it that I certainly don't agree with some of them, but you know, we're in that boat now. So
no, let's bring it back. What we're discussing is our submission going into that we're sending in. That's what we're voting on today.
Yeah,
we're not voting on all the peripheral stuff. So we're basically saying, do we approve of the submission that has been done, and do we want to send it down to Wellington, and do we agree that we don't want to send someone down there to speak to it? That's basically what we're doing.
Right. Well, are you looking for a mover?
Yeah, I'm looking for a mover.
Hey, I move that we forward the submission and that we have someone speak to it.
And we have someone speak to it?
Yep.
Or not?
Absolutely. We started off by saying that. We continue down that path. It was part of our 3-point agreement back in so long ago. I can't remember.
Okay.
I agree. Sorry to interrupt, but I do agree with Terry. I know when I'm hearing submissions, it has more impact when you actually have a speaker presenting rather than just a paper in front of you. So I'd like somebody to speak to it as well. As far as
so you're seconding it?
I'll second it.
Thank you. So we've
Murray, it's Disney again, Murray.
First
but
time I've spoken all meeting and I get anyway. But hey,
Sorry?
listen, as far as the submission itself goes, Murray, I think it's fine. I'm actually quite relaxed about it as it is. I think it's good. I take on board what Gary said about trying to whittle down some of the points, make it a bit more directed. But I think there's everything that's in there needs to be in there, and yeah, I'm happy to second it.
Okay. So we have the resolution moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the resolution?
Well, I can't open my chat thing up, but if you can hear me, I still think we need to respond to that letter. We need to include the letter from the minister and say this is of concern because it is something that was just ignored by the debate on that. I can't recall that being a specific thing that was put to councils, and I think that helps us in one of our main points to say
Well,
that
there's an amended motion on the screen, including amendments and additional comments. You can get under paragraph there. Can anyone see that?
Yeah, we can see
Ask the
that.
mayor
Yeah.
to speak.
Yeah. Do you want to just add this into this motion? Is that what you're saying?
Well, can you see an amended motion up on the screen?
Yeah, I can. Yep.
Are the mover and the seconder happy with that?
We're happy with that, but do you want to add this piece in that Gary's saying?
I just think it's going to give the person who's doing the presentation an opportunity to say, we've confronted this. Like Internal Affairs just ignored us on it.
Well,
and
you're delegating the mayor to take that down, so she can take that down. There's no problem.
Okay. Well, that's good. I think it really does concern me the way they've seeing her on paper, what the minister said just makes me go, yeah.
So the mayor can take that down. There's no problem doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just to clarify, is that something though that you wanted added in under the general comments as a comment about the level of or lack of excuse me, consultation and attaching that as an attachment to the submission?
Yeah.
Kate, I think everyone's happy with the resolution as it is with those amendments. And with the mayor going down to speak to it, I think she can take any bits down.
Just a second. It says that approves. Gary, Murray, it says it approves the chief executive to speak. So who's going?
The mayor is going.
Now, we don't know the timing for the hearings. So I'm not too sure that, there's that uncertainty around the timing.
Well, if we put the mayor or chief executive.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yep.
I've got my hand up. Look, can I just
put the mayor and the chief executive?
Yeah, well, I don't mind if they go together. That's a good move.
Yep. Everyone happy with that?
Yeah. Okay, I've got my hand up. Managed to achieve that. I can tell you, if you make a submission in advance and then you present something, it doesn't have the effect of we need to have that letter of the minister and our brief comment on that, so they've got that there before we get there. Otherwise, it doesn't have the effect. I can tell you, that's what the Court of Appeal judges say. If you make a submission, you've got to include that so we can look at it beforehand. Otherwise, it just doesn't have the effect. So I can just tell.
Having said on select committees, I find something that sometimes when it's presented there has a lot more effect than when you get a wad of paper 50 mil thick and it gets lost in a page.
That page will not get lost. It's there from the minister. It'll hit them between the eyes. And I think we should respond to about the lack of consultation on that.
Well, we'll attach. Everyone happy we attach the letter?
Yeah.
I am.
Okay.
Oh, it's quite important if we can get that in there, added in. Yep.
We're going to attach the letter. Yep.
We lose nothing by putting it in there. Let's put it in.
Okay. So just for Ari's benefit, in resolution 2, we'll probably add a new paragraph. So we might, if we just expand it 3.1 to 3.6, including a paragraph regarding level of consultation or level of engagement, something like that from government.
Level of engagement,
yeah. That'd be good.
And the letter. Yep. Everyone happy now?
Yep.
Let's
okay, I intend to put the motion as it is in front of you. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. To the contrary, no. The motion is carried.
Thank you, Kate. You've done a great job.
Thank you.
Ari, there's no further business?
No further formal business.
Okay. Thank you. We'll declare the meeting closed.